Last night, WWE presented Backlash from St. Louis, Missouri, from the Enterprise Center. It was a loaded show featuring several big surprises, moments, and a big main event build one last time between John Cena and Randy Orton, with John Cena retaining his WWE Championship in the process after once again committing to his dastardly heel ways. But the question is, what happens now that we're coming out of Backlash and going into future PLEs and upcoming WWE events? Here are 5 things we learned last night at Backlash. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Before we begin today's countdown video, you can see right there we're currently at 21,523 subscribers. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Join the ever-expanding WNU, that being the Wrestle News universe. In addition to that, you can see right there, you can scan the QR code on the sidebar. And you can join the WN365 roster. You get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members-only content. In addition to checking out the sidebar, you can see all upcoming watch-alongs and post-shows we've got here live on the channel. Last night, of course, we were live for a Backlash watch-along and a Backlash post-show. That'll be the same later on this month for AEW Double or Nothing. We'll be live for a watch-along and a post-show for that event, including also next month into June, upcoming WWE PLEs too. Now, as I said in the intro of today's countdown video, last night it was WWE Backlash. It was in St. Louis, Missouri at the Enterprise Center. Over 17,000 reportedly in attendance last night. And of course, it was headlined by John Cena defending the WWE Championship that he won at WrestleMania 41 against Randy Orton, one of his most historic rivals, storied rivals, won last time. But what did we learn coming out of Backlash? Here are 5 things that we learned heading out of last night's PLE, beginning with the arrival of Jeff Cobb. Yes, Jeff Cobb is now officially on WWE television. We had heard for weeks, months, that Jeff Cobb was on his way to WWE after spending over 7 years in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Jeff Cobb's contract with New Japan had expired, and there are actually reports going back at least a month or so, we covered it here on the channel, suggesting that Jeff Cobb not only had signed with WWE or was on his way to WWE, but in fact he was already listed on the internal WWE roster. Now this was quite surprising because at the time he was still appearing for New Japan Pro Wrestling. In fact, at one point he won the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles. He dropped them very shortly afterwards, as it was reported that he was on his way out of New Japan, and he told New Japan he was leaving and he was on his way to WWE. So many wondered it was just a case of when. When was Jeff Cobb going to arrive and what was he going to be doing? We had heard a few days ago that Jeff Cobb was listed on the SmackDown brand. Again, people weren't sure what he was going to be doing. Last night we found out. In the opening match of the show, it was the United States Championship Fatal 4-Way match with Jacob Fatu defending his championship against Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, and also former champion LA Knight. After Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest had taken each other out, courtesy of a Damian Priest South of Heaven chokeslam through 2 tables in the stands, it was down to LA Knight and it was down to Jacob Fatu. Now, it looked like LA Knight might be doing something equally as spectacular as Priest and McIntyre when he had the United States champion on the announce table on the outside. It looked like he was maybe going to drop an elbow to Jacob Fatu. That's when Solo Sikoa appeared, still the leader of this whatever iteration of the bloodline, the new bloodline you want to call it. Of course, the person who's claiming responsibility for bringing Jacob Fatu to WWE and claiming responsibility for building Jacob Fatu into the star that he is becoming. Now, he actually pulled Jacob Fatu off the announce table, and this is when LA Knight was going to go after Solo Sikoa, but then that's when Jeff Cobb appeared. Jeff Cobb appeared, he attacked LA Knight, of course, no disqualification. This provided the opportunity for Jacob Fatu to hit his signature moonsault and get the victory, retaining the United States Championship in the process. But what does this all mean? Well, certainly it looks like there is going to be division when it comes to this version of the bloodline. Jacob Fatu very much so looked like he had no idea that Jeff Cobb was arriving. Looked like he had no idea what Solo Sikoa had planned, and was pretty reluctant to even be associated with them. After the match, after taking advantage of the situation, he left kind of with Cobb and Sikoa in tow, but didn't look too pleased by it. And this looks like, once again, the seeds continue to be planted for a Jacob Fatu babyface turn. Jacob Fatu got one of the biggest ovations of the evening, was loudly cheered and chanted for during his match, despite still being technically a heel, it feels like, but certainly he felt like a major babyface. He's continuously overshadowed Solo Sikoa as the breakout star of the new version of the Bloodline, and many people wondered going into WrestleMania when we would have the situation where Sikoa turns on Fatu or Fatu turns on Sikoa, and officially Fatu becomes a babyface and gets elevated even more into the main event scene. I think last night we've probably seen what's going to happen in the future. It looks like Solo Sikoa has found his new loyal right-hand soldier. He's found his new muscle for the Bloodline for when Fatu eventually does leave or maybe gets kicked out by Sikoa and by Jeff Cobb. So it looks like certainly we are all headed to not only Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa, but also Jacob Fatu versus Jeff Cobb. And Jeff Cobb, if you've never seen him before, a tour of the islands to Jacob Fatu will be very interesting to see. And it looks like the seed's going to continue to be planted for not only Jacob Fatu to be a babyface, but also a future feud with not only Solo Sikoa, but also Jeff Cobb in the new iteration of the Bloodline. Another thing we learned last night is that possibly we're heading to a mask versus mask match. Now, the Intercontinental Championship was on the line last night with Dominic Mysterio successfully defending his Intercontinental Championship against Penta. I think most people expected Dirty Dom to retain his IC title at Backlash, considering he only just won it at WrestleMania in that Fatal 4-Way match, also involving Penta. But people wondered how are they going to do it? Well, the question was actually revealed, the answer was revealed rather, because it was due to interference from another Raw luchador, at least someone that detests them, that being El Grande Americano. Yes, in the closing stages of the match, you can see him right there. El Grande Americano appeared whilst Penta was on the top rope. He headbutted Penta, of course, with that loaded mask with the steel plate in it. That allowed enough of an opportunity for Dominic Mysterio to take the frog splash and retain his Intercontinental Championship in the process. Now, why is this going towards mask versus mask? Well, this is my theory on this one. When we were building up to WrestleMania, it looked like, of course, and it wasn't even announced at one point, we were getting Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano. Usually, whenever you do a gimmick of someone where everyone knows who's under the mask, but they deny it's them under the mask, it's always building to a mask reveal angle, isn't it? Eventually, it's building towards an angle where it's going to be mask versus mask, or there's going to be a moment where finally the person is unmasked, and then you reveal it's the person that everyone knew it was underneath it, in this case, Chad Gable. Now, I wondered if they were going to be doing that at WrestleMania between El Grande Americano and Rey Mysterio. It became evident that they weren't, and I wondered, well, it doesn't seem like, as of yet, any WWE PLE in Mexico has been announced. We've heard all of the rumors and reports over the last year or so that WWE is looking to do a PLE at some point in Mexico, considering they do so many international PLEs at this point. But the fact there wasn't any on the schedule, you wondered just when is the payoff to this angle where Chad Gable eventually is unmasked, when and where is that going to happen? Well, I think our answer came over WrestleMania weekend on the countdown to WrestleMania Saturday. Of course, the announcement was made that WWE had acquired Lucha Libre AAA. Now, because of that, WWE is now going to be hosting AAA shows in Mexico. There's a Worlds Collide event next month with AAA and NXT crossing over in Los Angeles, California. And of course, soon we've also got AAA shows, Triple Mania, regular big shows taking place in the country of Mexico. And that's where it feels like this is going. Now, initially, possibly it was going to be El Grande Americano versus Rey Mysterio, mask versus mask at a AAA show. Unfortunately, the night before WrestleMania Saturday, Rey Mysterio got injured on SmackDown and he had to undergo surgery. He's out for an indefinite period of time. It looks like Penta has now stepped into that role, with El Grande Americano costing Penta the match last night at Backlash. One would think, given Penta's history with AAA, there will be a situation where it will be mask versus mask, possibly the main event of a AAA show, maybe an upcoming Triple Mania in Mexico. Penta's not going to lose his mask, but Chad Gable will finally lose his. And certainly with all of the tradition of mask versus mask matches in Mexico, and it being a WWE show to boot, featuring a top talent like Penta, of course, got such a history in Mexico, it's just an angle that makes so much sense and surely will draw well for WWE and AAA. So it looks like that is going to be the direction that they're going in. Now, we also learned that Pat McAfee looks like he's not going anywhere, and he earned the respect of the former World Heavyweight Champion Gunther. Now, last night at Backlash, Gunther, as many people expected, defeated Pat McAfee by technical submission, but many, including myself, were wondering, was this all going to be an angle to write McAfee off television? He's not always on WWE TV due to his various commitments, either with his radio show, with College Game Day, with other football opportunities or media opportunities that he has. He's a very busy man. As we get closer into the summer and heading into the fall, we know that football season begins and McAfee becomes even so busy that he can't actually do all of his WWE Monday Night Raw commitments. So one wondered, now that WrestleMania was in the rearview mirror, that angle on Raw, was that to write him off TV? No, it was to lead to this match at Backlash. But was this going to be writing him off television? The answer was no. It was a competitive back and forth match. Gunther largely dominated, as you would expect. But what we saw at the end was quite surprising. After going back and forth, after taking a myriad of chops, power bombs, lariats, and sleeper holds, involving Michael Cole getting involved in the match as well, we saw some respect from Gunther towards McAfee. Now, what this means going forward, does this mean that Gunther, after attacking the announcer, is now slowly turning babyface? Maybe. Is it just a case of McAfee having a match? It was a spectacle. It's sports entertainment. WWE wanted to get people watching. They have done celebrity matches in the Backlash pay-per-view premium live event in the past, the most recent being Bad Bunny back in 2023, post-WrestleMania, a very famous celebrity match. Was it just one of those cases where it was a spectacle match and it was a match to have McAfee get involved and have a match against Gunther, make Gunther look strong, and also cement maybe a babyface turn for Gunther post-match, and that's what he's going to be on Monday Night Raw going forward? We'll have to wait and see when it comes to that, but certainly it looks like McAfee isn't going anywhere. One would expect him to be on Raw this coming Monday on Netflix, once again doing his usual commentary duties, and doesn't look like he's going to be stepping back anytime soon. If he does, it's not going to be because he was attacked or written off television or anything like that. So Gunther, I guess, showed respect to McAfee, and possibly this whole angle with the announcers getting involved and with McAfee and Michael Cole being worried that they're going to be attacked by Gunther is seemingly done. And maybe the whole point of it in the first place was just to write Gunther off television for a couple of weeks. There had been reports that Gunther had requested some time off. He was spotted in London and spotted around Europe. Seemingly he was vacationing with his family, visiting his family. Of course, he's from Austria, and that was the case. So it looks like the issue is now done. There's not going to be a rematch. McAfee not only earned the respect of the World Heavyweight Champion, but earned more respect of the WWE Universe for taking such a brutal beating. That's the end of the issue. And next we go into John Cena. Have WWE and John Cena finally found the formula for what is going to work for this heel turn? There's been criticism, quite a lot of it, when it comes to Cena's heel turn, since he turned heel at Elimination Chamber with one of the greatest angles in modern WWE history, involving The Rock, Travis Scott, Cody Rhodes. Many people were excited, finally, after 25 years of really, not for the first time in his WWE career, but certainly since he became Super Cena, Cena was going to be heel, and all of these opportunities and changes were going to happen. And quite a few people say they've been let down, whether it's because Cena isn't what he was inside the squared circle, because of a lack of cohesion and logic, a lack of involvement when it comes to The Rock, a lack of explanation, repetitive promos, repetitive segments. Many people have said, yeah, this just isn't really working for me. Now, because of that, going into last night's Backlash, many people were critical of the build and said the show actually, despite being John Cena versus Randy Orton one last time, didn't necessarily feel super special, and actually they didn't really have any high expectations for this main event to actually deliver, given that both guys are well into their 40s and both guys maybe aren't what they once were. Yes, the crowd were going to be into it, but was the action going to deliver what is actually the star power was bringing people to the show to watch? Now, to their credit, Randy Orton and John Cena, they absolutely did deliver. It was a nearly 28-minute match, and yes, there are a lot of bells and whistles. There was a lot of ref bumps, 3 to be specific. There were table spots, there was announced table spots, there was title shots to the head, everything you can possibly think of. Kick out of finishes, RKOs, attitude adjustments, low blows. In the end, John Cena gets the victory thanks to some inadvertent interference from R-Truth. There was also RKOs from Randy Orton on every single former wrestler official you could possibly think of. Was it a bit over the top? Was it overbooked? Was there a lot of ref bumps and chaos? Yes, but kind of that's what was needed. And you do wonder, is this the formula that John Cena needs to actually make this heel run work in terms of the in-ring product? We've known for Cena, when it comes to Cena, for many years, he's been on the decline physically in the ring. Several times he stated he can't do much more in the ring. A couple of years ago, I think he had a match against Austin Theory. I think it was a Theory match at WrestleMania. And afterwards, when criticized about his performance, he said, that's all I can really offer. That's all I can really do in the ring right now. So many people wondered and questioned, given he's the 17-time world champion, he's going to be main eventing all of these shows, are the matches even going to be any good? Well, I guess they still can be. If they're booked in this kind of way, there are either stipulations, no holds barred, street fights, no disqualifications, or there's chaos, there's ref bumps, there's low blows, there's cheating, there's chicanery. Then the crowd, like they did last night, are going to bite on it, and the crowd are going to enjoy it. Everyone knew going into the show last night John Cena was going to retain. He's not going to do this retirement tour and then immediately drop the championship just after winning it at WrestleMania at the first attempt, so that's not going to happen. But it was an enjoyable match, and I think it actually matched, or it actually exceeded expectations of what people expected, because the expectations weren't that high, and despite being very sports entertainment and quite chaotic, people enjoyed it. So maybe this is actually the formula that WWE and Cena need to make these matches work in this heel turn. And finally, the fifth thing we learned is that we seemingly know who the next match is going to be for John Cena, and that is R-Truth. As I mentioned, R-Truth got involved in the main event when it looks like Randy Orton was going to become the WWE Champion for the 15th time in his career, defeating his legendary rival John Cena. R-Truth came out. Now, R-Truth, despite being a comedy goofball gimmick, he's spoken many times that John Cena was his childhood hero, even though the R-Truth is considerably older than John Cena, even though he maybe doesn't look like it. We've seen this over and over again, and recently on SmackDown, we've seen R-Truth saying there's two sides to every story as he continues to defend Cena. And people wondered, where is this going? Well, we're not going to be getting a premium live event match or anything like that, but it looks like we are going to be getting something at Saturday night's main event. We know that John Cena is advertised for the upcoming Saturday night's main event on Saturday, May 24th, 2025. It's taking place in Tampa, Florida at the Youngling Center. Now, already for the show, we have a World Heavyweight Championship match announced, which is Jey Uso versus Logan Paul, but Cena is advertised for the show, and you would think, given this retirement tour, he'll have a match on the show. Now, many people wondered, what are they going to have on the show? Are they going to have John Cena versus CM Punk? Are they going to have John Cena versus an up-and-comer or something like that? It looks like we're going to have John Cena versus R-Truth. The reason because of that is because at the post-show press conference last night, after WWE Backlash, John Cena interrupted Triple H. He was making a statement, and then came R-Truth. R-Truth came out and started talking to Cena, interrupted him, and Cena said, "Ron, this was disrespectful. You have to leave. If you say one more thing, bad things going to happen." He said, "I just wanted to tell you." Cena picked him up, attitude adjustment through the table that was there, and that ended the presser. So because of that, it looks like maybe he just slapped and took the funny out of R-Truth. Maybe we're not going to see the comedic goofball. We're going to see Ron the Truth Killings try to win the WWE Championship, just like he did back at Capital Punishment in 2011 in a previous WWE Championship match against John Cena. This time it could take place at Saturday night's main event. So seemingly, we know who Cena's next challenger is going to be. So there you go, guys. There are 5 things we learned at WWE Backlash last night. What are your thoughts on the 5 things? What other things did we learn? Let me know your thoughts about everything in the comment section below. Let me know your opinions, your hot takes, everything. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe. As you can see right there, we're at 21,523 subscribers. Join the WN365 roster by scanning the QR code or clicking the join button. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.